my name is Josh, and this is my March update video. In this video, I'm going to discuss my current reads and also just where I'm at in the process for writing my first book. So right now I'm reading two books, one of them being it's probably going to go down as the most difficult book I've read ever of all time. And that is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I read that once you get kind of a quarter way through or 100+ pages in, that it starts to become easier, or I guess just more of a coherent story. I knew that it was going to be filled with just kind of different POVs and side stories throughout the chapters, and that they would all come together towards the end. It has felt very disorienting so far to get through, and I'm sticking with it. I've enjoyed moments of it for sure. I won't say like I'm going crazy about it yet or anything, or how I feel about it just yet. Definitely explore some deep topics. There's moments of humor, or has been so far, but it's very difficult to... I've read chapters that I couldn't sit here and honestly tell you like what I just read. Like I couldn't even summarize the chapter that I just read. It's crazy. And I've even gone back and tried to, this is probably the first book I've read that, well, as long as I can remember anyway, that has made my brain hurt trying to get the message that the author is portraying through the chapter I'm reading. So I'm definitely going to give it at least till I get a quarter way through it before I decide if I'm going to finish it or not. But I've told myself that anyway. I do feel like I'm going to finish it regardless, because I really want to read it. I've watched his interviews, David Foster Wallace's interviews. Like I said, I'm a fan of the movie that was about him. I want to read this book. I want to read this book that really blew up the time it came out in the 90s. So, and the themes that it covers. The second book I'm reading is Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, which is the third book in the First Law trilogy. And my lord, it is not disappointing. I'm afraid when I finish this trilogy and I start picking up others that I will subconsciously compare that trilogy to this one, because this one is just, it's so good, and I wonder if it's going to wind up being a favorite for me. I plan to, if I can get through my list of 10 books, or I guess 12 if you count the trilogy has 3 books in it, I plan to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time as well before the year's over. So I'm really trying to make it through my list of books I plan to read this year, so I can throw some extras in there. But who knows, we'll just have to see. Once I'm done reading Infinite Jest and Last Argument of Kings, well, really either one of them, obviously Last Argument of Kings will get read first before Infinite Jest. I plan to read Paranesi by Susanna Clarke, so super excited for that one. And then we'll just see what I choose to pick up next out of the list I've chosen for this year. Let me know in the comments down below what you're currently reading. I would love to see what your current reads are. Do you usually read more than one book at a time, or do you kind of bounce back and forth between 2 to 3 books? I guess, and what's your average per month? And now for the main event of the video, the update you've all been waiting for. So when it comes to my first book, I've been working on the second draft now. I'm nearing halfway, I believe. I'm about a quarter way through. It's definitely a process, and I think getting through the first pass, just reading through the first pass, was it took a while. I believe because it was difficult to separate myself from being the writer to the mind of a reader. I don't think you can ever really do that, but I totally understand why it is said to take a step back for a couple weeks at minimum before trying to make revision notes or anything on your book or on your manuscript. Yeah, it's been a process. It's tough to turn off that voice that's just in the background telling me this sucks, but I think every first draft is definitely not the best. I'm sure if you look at the first draft of some of our favorite books, right, they're probably going to look pretty tough unrevised. So But I'm sticking through the process. I've already made it through the first pass. Like I said, I'm in the second draft now. I'm in the thick of that. And once I finish that, the second draft, I'll go through one more pass, and then I'll be looking to hand it out to beta readers, which I'm already nervous about, but also excited for. I'm excited to see people's reactions on it and how they feel and what scenes may pop or bore them or whatever. So just looking forward to finishing the process and getting it published. I don't even want to put timelines on myself for it anymore. I mean, if I can get it published by October, November, that's amazing, but I'm not gonna hold my breath trying to get that done, because anytime I put a timeline on any of this stuff so far, I think it just speaks to my experience, right, with it being my first book. It just seems to I'm way off. So I'm just gonna keep sticking to the process the way I've been doing it. Take breaks when I need to take breaks, not rush it, and just get it done right. You know, I really want to make this the best I can. I also want to add, I think I'll bring up like a series, or like if I watch like a certain movie or something of the month, like I just want to touch on, because, you know, I geek out about all kinds of stuff. I watched, this may be shocking, but I watched Gladiator for the first time all the way through, start to finish. I've always seen bits and parts of it, but what a great movie. And I tried to go straight into the sequel after that, and I couldn't finish it. It wasn't nearly the same. So there's that. So I watched King and Conquer, which is a BBC historical drama, and they have that on Amazon Prime. It is a miniseries, with 8 episodes. I saw that it's getting a lot of backlash for, or I guess mixed reviews for like its inaccuracies on history and whatnot, and how things actually played out, the age and the costumes and stuff. But if you just, I mean, I went into it with an open mind, and I instantly saw that it was like a very gritty, dark, medieval times type of story. The synopsis led me to believe it was going to be about, you know, 2 guys kind of fighting over the crown, which it was, don't get me wrong, but for me, I feel like it was more about the transformation of one of those 2 guys. I feel like it followed him more, and you really got to see his transformation and his transformational journey, trying to pursue the crown. And anyways, it was a good show. I think if you're into stuff like that or in the mood for that, definitely check it out. King and Conquer on Amazon Prime. So that wraps up my monthly update video. I'll try to do something like this every month, just talk about where I'm at with the book and talk about my current reads and whatnot. Upcoming videos, of course, will be I plan to stick to my same formula, spoiler-free review video and also a spoiler discussion video on Last Argument of Kings, and also just kind of talking about the entire First Law trilogy. I'm so stoked for that. I will for sure be done with this book this week, so before next weekend, I'll probably have Paranesi already started before we get to next weekend for me to record those videos. So, but I've been thinking heavy about it. I'm so excited. So don't forget to let me know what you're currently reading, and also what you're currently working on. If you're a writer, do you put timelines on yourself for getting stuff done? I would think that if you're experienced, you probably have an idea of like how you're going to get through certain things. I'm sure you find your pattern or system that works for you. So hopefully I'll find mine before too long, or after this book anyway. So as always, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you being here and just being along for the journey. I love making these videos. I love talking about books and this hobby and the writing process and all that goes with it. It truly is, it's a lot of fun. But I wish you the best, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.